Have you ever felt like life has thrown you into the deepest storm, leaving you gasping for air, searching for something, anything, to hold on to? In those moments, when everything seems impossible, there's always a lifeline, a hidden strength waiting to be discovered. Sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's a passion, and sometimes it's the courage inside you that you never knew existed. This is not just a story of struggle, it's a story of finding that life jacket in the middle of chaos and rising stronger than ever before. Life often tests us in ways we can never anticipate. One day everything seems normal, and the next, you find yourself drowning in challenges you never imagined. In those moments, it's easy to believe you've been abandoned, left alone with your pain. But if you look closely, you'll often find something or someone that becomes your lifeline. It might be a friend who refuses to let go, a passion that keeps you grounded, or even the smallest glimmer of hope that pushes you to rise. These life jackets are rarely loud or obvious. They appear quietly, offering you strength when you feel the weakest. For some, it's faith. For others, it's a craft, a community, or a dream. The truth is, no matter how heavy the burden, there's always a reason to fight back, and often that reason is closer than we think. Imagine waking up each day to a battle that doesn't seem to end. Every step feels heavier than the last, and even getting out of bed becomes an act of courage. Yet, amidst this struggle, there's a spark that refuses to die. Sometimes it comes from the people who believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself. Their faith becomes an anchor that holds you steady, and sometimes that spark comes from the work you love. For a brief moment, between effort and focus, you forget the weight of your pain. You give your all, and in that act of giving, you begin to heal. It's in these fleeting moments of honesty with yourself that you discover something profound. Pain may try to break you, but purpose can rebuild you stronger. We often cry out, asking why life feels so unfair. Why now? Why can't I catch a break? In those moments of despair, it feels like no one is listening. But what if the answers are already around us, quietly waiting to be noticed? Life jackets don't always look like miracles. Sometimes they're disguised as people who refuse to give up on you. Sometimes they're opportunities that demand your courage. Too often we ignore them, choosing instead to sit in the shadow of our problems. But the truth is, strength doesn't come when everything is perfect. Strength comes when you realize you've already been given enough to keep swimming, even in the roughest seas. For many, the biggest battle is not with the world, but with themselves. Growing up, countless voices around us, especially from those we love, can shape the way we see ourselves. A careless remark, a comparison, or constant criticism can convince us that we are not good enough. These words sink deep, echoing in our minds for years. You begin to measure your worth against impossible standards, always chasing validation, always proving yourself. And even when success comes, when the world finally applauds, you struggle to believe it. Praise feels unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable, because deep down, you've trained yourself to doubt every good thing. That's when you realize the real enemy has always been the belief that you are not enough. Success is a double-edged sword. For some, it creates pride, a sense of invincibility. For others, it opens the door to darker fears. What if they discover I'm not as good as they think? What if I fail? What if I don't deserve this? These questions eat away at confidence, creating a spiral of insecurity. You begin to chase perfection, comparing yourself to everyone else, desperate to prove your worth again and again. But here lies the turning point. Growth doesn't come from comparison. It comes from reflection. The moment you stop measuring yourself against others and start asking, am I better than I was yesterday? That's when true change begins. Each small improvement becomes a victory. Each step forward becomes a reason to celebrate. And slowly, you learn to see yourself not as a shadow of someone else's success, but as a stronger version of the person you were before. The shift happens quietly. Instead of resenting others for their success, you start admiring them. Instead of feeling threatened, you learn to celebrate their victories. Why? Because your focus is no longer on them. It's on you, on becoming a better version of yourself. Suddenly, the people around you stop looking like competition and start looking like inspiration. You realize that true success isn't about being the best in the room, it's about becoming the best you can be. That mindset frees you. It allows you to appreciate your own journey without bitterness. It teaches you that confidence is not about arrogance, it's about peace. And peace comes when you stop running in someone else's race and start running in your own. But even with growth, life doesn't become easy. The world will still remind you of your flaws. This industry, this society, whatever space you belong to, has a way of making people feel small. It thrives on comparisons, on highlighting what you lack instead of what you bring. If you enter it already carrying your inner demons, the journey can feel unbearable. Every rejection feels personal. Every failure feels permanent. Yet, within these struggles lies the greatest opportunity, the chance to rise above the noise. To tell yourself, I don't have to fit into their definition of enough. I get to define my own. That realization doesn't erase the pain, but it gives you power. And with power, even the harshest voices lose their grip on your heart. There comes a time when you look back at your past self and realize how far you've come. You remember the version of you who once doubted everything, who believed that dreams were impossible. And then you see the person standing in the mirror today, stronger, wiser, still imperfect, but undeniably more resilient. Growth doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it's as simple as realizing that the words you once believed no longer hold power. You used to think, I can't. Now you say, I can try. You used to shrink from challenges. Now you lean into them. That transformation is proof that no mistake, no failure, and no setback is wasted. Every scar carries a lesson. Every fall builds a strength you didn't know you had. Failure, in fact, becomes one of your greatest teachers. Every misstep reveals a truth about who you are and who you want to be. If you're willing to listen, failure teaches humility, patience, and resilience in ways that success never can. It shows you that perfection is an illusion and growth is a process. When you stop fearing failure and start embracing it as part of your journey, everything changes. Suddenly, mistakes don't define you, they refine you. They strip away the unnecessary and shape you into someone who knows what truly matters. The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the stronger you become. And slowly, life's sharpest blows transform into the very chisels that carve your strength. Still, the road is long, the climb is steep. And sometimes you wish you had someone to guide you, a mentor, a protector, a godfather who could save you from the wrong turns. But when you look closely, you realize something powerful. By walking through fire without a guide, you've learned to trust yourself. Every mistake you made was also a lesson earned. Every wrong decision sharpened your instincts. And though it took longer, though the journey felt lonely at times, it has made you unshakable. You are no longer dependent on someone else's approval or direction. You've built your path brick by brick, scar by scar. And that independence is not a weakness. It's your greatest strength. As you walk forward, the noise around you never truly disappears. There will always be voices telling you you're not good enough, not talented enough, not strong enough. But now, instead of breaking under them, you learn to filter them. Not every opinion deserves a place in your heart. Not every criticism deserves your energy. You listen, yes, but only to the voices that help you grow. The rest, you let them fade. Because the truth is, the world will never stop judging. If you spend your life trying to please everyone, you'll lose yourself. But if you live with honesty, if you stand firm in who you are, then the world's judgment no longer defines you. What defines you is the courage to remain authentic, even in the face of doubt. Growth is not always glamorous. It often looks like stumbling, falling, and getting back up again. It looks like trying new things and failing miserably. It looks like facing rejection and still choosing to continue. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of persistence. Because real strength isn't about never falling. It's about refusing to stay down. Each time you rise, you prove to yourself that you are more resilient than yesterday. And slowly that resilience becomes part of who you are. It changes how you see challenges. Instead of asking, why me? You begin to say, try me. Life doesn't get easier, but you become tougher. And that toughness carries you through storms that once felt impossible to survive. In this journey, one of the most powerful realizations comes when you understand that imperfection is not your enemy. For so long, you chased perfection. Perfect looks, perfect achievements, perfect approval. But perfection is a lie. It's an endless race with no finish line, and it leaves you exhausted. The truth is, imperfection is what makes you human. It's what makes you unique. When you begin to embrace your flaws instead of hiding them, you find freedom. Freedom to live without fear of being not enough. Freedom to create, to try, to fail, and to rise again. You discover that imperfect is not just acceptable, it's beautiful. Because in those cracks and scars lies your real story, and that story is worth telling. Confidence doesn't come from pretending you have it all together. It comes from accepting that you don't, and still moving forward anyway. You look around and see people who seem flawless, untouchable, confident in every step. But when you stop comparing yourself to them and start comparing yourself only to who you were yesterday, everything shifts. Suddenly, the question isn't, am I better than them? It becomes, am I better than I was before? That shift changes everything. It allows you to celebrate others instead of resenting them. It gives you the courage to stand tall, even when you're still learning. And it reminds you that your worth was never about being the best. Your worth has always been about becoming the truest version of you. With this mindset, something powerful happens. You start to respect yourself, not for your awards, not for the praise, not for the applause, but for your effort, your honesty, your growth. Respecting yourself is the foundation of everything else. Because when you respect yourself, you no longer need to beg for validation. You no longer chase approval in every direction. You no longer crumble under rejection. Instead, you carry a quiet strength, a confidence that doesn't need to shout. And from that place, you begin to create not from fear of judgment, but from a place of truth. And truth, no matter how simple, always shines brighter than perfection ever could. The world often measures success with numbers, awards, money, fame, followers. But true success cannot be counted. It's felt. It's in the strength you build when no one is watching. It's in the courage you show when no one is cheering. It's in the nights you spend fighting your fears and still showing up the next day with determination. That is success. And when you live with that definition, you stop chasing illusions. You no longer need to prove your worth through trophies or recognition. Instead, you find fulfillment in the simple truth that you gave your best. Success is not about being celebrated by the world. It's about being at peace with yourself. And peace, once you find it, is worth more than anything fame can give. Of course, the path to peace is not straight. It's filled with twists and setbacks. There are days when you doubt yourself, days when you feel like giving up. But every time you rise after falling, you're building a story of resilience. That story will not just inspire you, it will inspire others. Because people don't connect with perfection. They connect with authenticity, with the raw and real stories of struggle and survival. When you share your scars instead of hiding them, you remind others that they're not alone in their battles. And that connection, that honesty, is far more powerful than pretending to be flawless. It's not your polished image that changes lives, it's your truth. In many ways, life is like a battlefield. You're constantly being told who to be, how to look, how to act. Society has its expectations, and if you don't fit the mold, you're made to feel small. But real strength is refusing to let those molds define you. Real power is carving out your own identity, one that reflects who you truly are. Especially for women, this is crucial. Too often, stories show women only through the lens of men, defined by relationships, by roles, by stereotypes. But the truth is, every woman carries her own journey, her own battles, her own victories. When those stories are told honestly, They don't just break stereotypes. They create new paths for generations to come. Every choice you make becomes part of that story. Whether it's the roles you take, the relationships you keep, or the dreams you chase, each decision is a reflection of who you are becoming. That's why it's important to choose with intention. Choose the path that aligns with your truth, not the one that simply looks glamorous. Choose the battles that make you stronger, not the ones that drain your soul. When you live with this kind of clarity, your journey may look different from others, but it will always feel authentic. And authenticity is magnetic. It draws the right people, the right opportunities, and the right kind of peace into your life. Looking back, you may realize that every mistake was necessary. Every wrong turn taught you something you couldn't have learned otherwise. You might even laugh at the thought of wishing for a perfect guide or godfather. Because without the struggle, without the failures, you wouldn't have become who you are today. Life's hardest moments shaped you into someone unbreakable. Yes, you fell. Yes, you stumbled. But every fall carved resilience into your bones. Every scar became proof that you survived. And in the end, it's not the easy wins that define you. It's the battles you fought, the lessons you learned, and the strength you gained along the way. The farther you travel on this journey, the more you understand that growth never truly ends. There will always be new challenges, new battles, and new lessons. But instead of fearing them, you begin to welcome them. Because each new obstacle is simply another opportunity to rise. You no longer see struggles as punishments, you see them as training grounds. Life's hardships are shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and braver than before. That perspective changes everything. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And instead start asking, what is this teaching me? And when you approach life with curiosity instead of fear, every moment, even the painful ones, becomes a stepping stone towards strength. With time, you learn that validation from others is temporary, but belief in yourself is permanent. External praise may come and go, but self-respect is something no one can take away from you. You stop chasing applause and start chasing growth. You stop needing the world to notice you and start noticing yourself. That's when you realize the most powerful thing you can ever own is your self-worth. And it doesn't come from being flawless. It comes from being real. The more real you are with yourself, the freer you feel. The more honest you are with your journey, the lighter your heart becomes. And in that honesty lies a kind of strength no storm can shake. Every journey has scars, but those scars are proof that you lived, that you fought, that you refused to give up. Instead of hiding them, you begin to wear them as badges of honor. They tell a story that no one else can tell, your story. And when others see your courage, they find courage in themselves. That's the beauty of resilience. It's contagious. When you rise, you give permission to others to rise too. When you show strength, you spark strength in them. And in this way, your journey is not just about you. It becomes a source of light for everyone who crosses your path. In the end, you realize that life is not about reaching some final destination where everything is perfect. It's about embracing the journey, the highs, the lows, the victories, and the failures. It's about becoming a little stronger every day, a little kinder, a little more authentic. It's about using your voice to inspire others and using your story to remind them that they're not alone. The struggles you faced were never wasted. They were building blocks. They were shaping you into the person you were meant to be. And now, standing where you are, you can see it clearly. Every storm prepared you for this strength, and every fall prepared you for this rise. So here you are, not perfect, not invincible, but stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. The storms didn't destroy you, they revealed you. The pain didn't break you, it built you. And now, your journey is proof that even in the darkest times, there is always hope. There is always a reason to rise. There is always a life jacket waiting for you, if only you choose to see it. And perhaps the most powerful truth of all, you were never as weak as you thought. You always had this strength within you. You just had to find it. If you found inspiration in this story, don't forget to like this video and visit our channel for more powerful and uplifting stories.